Good morning, it's the Zipper Lady from thezipperlady.com, and it's another fun Friday. Today we're going to use up a whole bunch of your little snippets of zipper that you don't have heads for. And basically what I did was I just sewed these together, but I put a head or a zipper pull on where I wanted to make a little pocket. Then I just used the rest of them like I would use ribbon or fabric, and did the top one so that I have a nice little bag. They're really kind of fun to make because you can make them with virtually anything. My personal preference is coil zippers, but you could use, this is a molded tooth, and you could definitely use this just when you sew the sides of your little bag. You'll just have to kind of wiggle through the teeth. It's not a big deal. You can also use metal zippers the same way. And I have used a selection of 3mm and 5mm. So this one is a size 3, a 5, a 5, a 3, a 5, a 3, and a 5 on the top. And I've used a 5 on the top on most of the bags simply because they just work a little bit longer. The other thing that I found out from making a whole bunch of these for Christmas presents this year is I really like having a double pull on my pockets. And what that does is that it keeps the zipper from separating in the side seam. And it also makes a nice little spot for your hand to go in. So this guy is the pocket, and this is the top. So you can use whatever you've got in your stash. Think about the fact that you could even use a little short piece of ribbon here if you wanted to do that. The main thing is to put pulls, or the piece of zipper you've got pulls on, where the pocket and the top is. So here's another piece of zipper that I've done. And this one is a 5, a 3, a 5, a 5, and a 5. These are little bits and pieces of denim I had left over from a slipcover project. And so all you do is, if you decide you want to make it this size because that's the piece you've got left over, you simply turn this upside down on this, stitch it to the top, stitch it to the bottom, and you have a little bag like this guy. So all I did was that I had 5 pieces. I stitched the piece of fabric to the bottom, and then I'm going to turn it inside out and stitch 3 sides, and I'm done. Or you can make it a little bit longer and put feet on the bags like these guys have got feet, or boxed corners. Let me turn this inside out so you can see this. So you can see I just sewed over the ends. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. It's really simple. But the main thing is to use up your bits and pieces. So this piece, the pocket's going to start here. So I sewed the pocket to the back of the zipper. And then I'm going to sew here for the pocket. And then turn it inside out. And see how this one has a little bit of extra at the bottom. That's where the foot or the boxing goes. So there's just a few calculations that you need. The first thing you're going to do is I cut this piece by measuring how long I wanted my bag to be. Let me grab this guy. So this is 7 inches. So I went 7 for the front, just in case. You're not going to go all the way up with it, but it gives you a little extra for seam allowances. I'm really into fudge factor, so anytime I do a cut, I normally add an inch just in case I need a little fudge factor. I can always cut it off. It's much harder to sew it back on. And then to put the boxing or the little feet so the bag will stand up, I added 5 inches for this. So 2.5 on the front, 2.5 on the back, and 7. So roughly that's 20 inches. because you're going to have just a teeny bit up at the top to sew your zipper in. So the zipper is about 10 inches, and I leave it a little bit long so I can put pulls on and off. See how it's got little extras? And I never cut those off until I get everything done. So here is my sample for this morning, and this piece is of course denim, and it's 10 inches wide by 20 inches long, so you can see that. And this is the right side of the fabric. This is the top zipper on the bag right here, this guy. And so you turn it upside down on the right side of the fabric and stitch it down. Then you're going to turn it and top stitch it. Okay? And I usually use just the edge of my foot. And I use either my zipper foot or I use what I call my two-toe, which looks like this on my Bernina. And the reason I like this so much is that I have this side of the inside that I can use as a straight edge. I have the outsides. And so I give myself a whole bunch of options as to how I'm going to sew it in. And then on this end, again, this is the right side of the fabric, I sewed the bottom part of my bag to the fabric. So it's sewn up at the top, and then it's sewn here. And I'm going to put the pulls on, and this is going to be the pocket. Then we're going to add an extra piece of zipper, and then put it together. If you don't have yardage, or you haven't tried it, this is the little package that I carry with me when I go to do my shows. And I do a lot of quilt shows. In January this month, I'm going to be in Arizona. In February, I'm going to be in Puyallup. In March, I'm going to be in Atlanta and Lakeland at the quilt shows, so look me up and come see me. There are 6 pieces, 6 fun colors, and each one of them is between 40 and 46 because I just cut these apart. They're usually the leftovers from my bolts. And then I put 40 little pulls in so you can make a whole bunch of bags with it. And this runs $20 at the quilt shows. You can also get these at Quilter's Corner in Erie, Colorado, Jukebox Quilts in Jukebox Quilts here in Fort Collins, or Sew Deja Vu in Ohio. And tell Judy at Sew Deja Vu that Alicia sent you. She'll know the zipper lady. Anyway, so you can buy this in these bags in either a size 3, which is the smaller size, or you can buy it in the 5s. And that'll give you a whole bunch of fun that you can mix and match for presents. Okay, so now we're going to just slide over just a tiny bit and zoom in to my beloved old Bernina, which she's getting to a point, being as old as she is, I think she's close to 40 years old. She almost needs to be retired, but I've got a few more slipcovers to make. So today I'm going to start off with my two-toe, and then I'm going to switch to my, I should probably show you this way, zipper foot. And so I'm going to use this. You can see where I serged this. And I'm actually going to stitch inside of the serging so that when I get ready to turn it, the serging doesn't show. And there's nothing that says that you have to sew any width on your machine. And my foot is up next to the coil on my zipper, and so I think I'm going to change to my zipper foot, slide my needle out, just so that I can cover up as much of, and I'm actually using the coil on the underneath side as a guide. It's a little closer. We're going to flip this and see what it looks like. Now we're going to top stitch this. I think I can hide this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold this towards the zipper until the threads from the serging disappear underneath. And then I'm going to top stitch it. Now the really fun thing about not following a pattern is you can do anything you want. You can make your seam allowances a 1/2 inch, or if you feel more comfortable with 1 inch or 5/8, you just do it. So this is a piece of zipper that was left over from a class I taught, and it's about 14 inches. Oh, I just hate threads. Anyway, so that one is ready to go. Now we're going to add pulls onto the pocket. So coil up, and I'm left-handed, so I cut off about a 1/2 inch of the coil on the left side, but if you're right-handed, cut on the right. And then you're going to feed it on to the long side, open it up a bit, tuck it up into that slot on the side until it stops, hang on to it, and jiggle it down. Now we're going to put the one on the other side on. What do I want? So in the little packs, I always have miscellaneous colors of zipper pulls because I have to match every place else except when I make a present, because I think of this as art. So I've pulled this down. Now the real key to putting 2 pulls on is getting the coil even. And so you can see that it's a little bit longer on this side than on this side. So I'm going to back this up just a little bit. Take a little bit of that coil out. Oops, now I took too much. I'm going to come back down again. And then I'm going to test drive it. That looks pretty good. And normally what I do if I'm going to put 2 on is I slide one up really close to the top so that I can figure out if they're going to come together better. Now all you have to do is slide them down into the middle so you don't hit anything. Now we're going to add one more strip of zipper on. What color am I going to use? Ooh, this turquoise is pretty. And my zipper has a change in it. There's twill next to the teeth, and then there's a basket weave out on the top, on the edge. And I'm just going to go over the top of the black thread below, and that one was sewn on that change. If you don't have change in your zipper tape like this one does, and I don't think you can really see this, but look at yours very closely. And if you don't have a change, you can very simply use a pencil or something on the bottom so it doesn't show to line your zipper up with. And you just want to tuck it over the top of it just a teeny bit. And my needle's on the right side, so I'm going to slide it to the left. Also, if you have issues with bubbling in your zippers, if one side of your tape is a little bit looser, put it on the bottom and use it that way so that it kind of evens out. The feed dogs will suck up that extra. Now see, I'm not sure if you can see this, but my black thread from the last is just underneath, and I'm sewing right along the edge. Now as I come up to my pulls, you can either move them past so you don't accidentally do something stupid, or just hold on to them. So this one's a nice long piece. I'm going to cut this off. I'm not going to need it for pulls or anything. I'm going to cut it off so that I have more for the next project. And now, I'm just going to peel the half of the pink that isn't attached and sew it onto the turquoise. Now my assumption is that you have an embroidery machine, or you have a machine that makes pretty designs, and instead of doing just a straight stitch, I have to imagine you're going to do something really fabulous. Think of this as a empty canvas for your artwork. See, you can see where this one bubbled just a little bit. But because I sewed this over the top of it, it makes it pretty flat. Now you can press this pretty easily too. I normally don't, because once it gets together, all the bubbles and the bumps seem to go away. Now I'm turning it to the right side, and I've now made basically the loop that I'm going to need. So the fabric is here, underneath. Here's my pocket, like this. Pocket is stitched here. The rest of the fabric is over here. And now I'm just going to turn it around and put the pulls up at the top. And you can pin this or do whatever you want to with it. And I'm looking to make sure that everything is kind of even, because putting the pull on at the top is going to make this whole thing go together like a tube. Now, I have a bunch of zipper hanging out over here. You can clip this off and clip it even with the line of the fabric. And the zipper tape is really tight, heavy, and so I try to use really far down on my blades. I don't want to mess up my tips if I can help it. And then all you have to do is peel this apart. You don't want to cut the pink. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to put a pin in it, just so that I got it so I can put the pulls on. Pin on one side, pin on the other. Clips work too. Now then, what I'm going to do is that I've got my zipper right here. I'm going to clip this down, just so I have room to play. And again, I'm going to slide the pull on. The main thing I want to do is that this cut or clip needs to go right into that shoulder. So I want to slide this down just a little tiny bit. Now I want to check to make sure that it still looks pretty even both sides and that nothing's hiked up. Slide this down to the other side. Then we're going to put this pull on. Ooh, perfecto. There you have it. Your bag is virtually done. All you're going to do is sew this side up after you turn it inside out, and sew the little boxed feet, and you're done. Okay? So I've already turned one inside out, so you don't have to watch me sew. I've clipped off this side. Normally, before I sew this up, I have a tendency to bar tack so that when I'm turning it inside out, I don't wing my zipper pulls off. But once you get it sewn, and you're going to go back and forth, this is a 1/2 inch seam allowance. But the honest to God truth is I just took my 2-toe and ran it right along the edge of my serging. Then we're going to cut this off. Now then, if you're going to give this as a present, you could very easily cover this with some bias tape to make it pretty. Oops. And I have unthreaded my sewing machine. The nice thing about working with black thread is you can actually see it go through the eye. But of course, if you were doing this for a project, you'd probably use white. So I'm going to slide my pulls out to the end, like that. And I'm going to put a pin right in this fold. And what I'm going to do the foot is I'm going to, with my hand inside, I'm going to open this up so it looks like a triangle, and then pull my seam allowance open, and right where that seam allowance is, you want to line it up with your pin, and you can feel that. Now then, you don't want to go into your zipper. You want to stay out here just a little tiny bit. And depending on how much you add for your foot, so if you did 7, 7, and 3, if that's all you had, you're going to have a little tiny bit of space here, not a whole bunch, like on the other bags that I used 5. But the reality is you really don't need to have a specific amount. All you do is whatever this is, you just make it a little tiny bit smaller. This is my 1/2 inch mark. I'm going to put my nose right there, or the end of my triangle on the line. Keep this at a 90-degree angle. You can get carried away if you want. And then when you turn it, there's your little boxing. Now you're going to do it on the other side. Again, pin in the fold. Put your hand inside and open it up. Like that. Ah, what a cutie. So, you have a Christmas present made for next year, because this is January 2020. So you have a Christmas present for next year, or you have a birthday present. Oops. There we go. Or a Valentine's Day present. Isn't that cute? Think about what you can put in it to send off with a kiddo. You know, this could be something that you gave your kiddo for her toiletries when she goes to camp. Anyway, that's it for today. I so hope that you go off and do all of these fun little bags. And just go out and do something fun for somebody else today. That's it. I hope your 2020 is fabulous. Ta for now.